Patch 13.15 is here, and let's go over all the changes and see how they affect our tier list this week. The champions being buffed are Caitlyn, Camille, Gwen, Nami, Taliyah, Yasuo and Yone. Aatrox, Ivern, Kai'Sa, Maokai, Sejuani and Shyvana are being nerfed, and Annie, Heimerdinger and Yorick are getting some changes too. Glacial Augment and Night Harvester are being nerfed too, as well as the summoner spell Smite on champion pets. So let's start off with the top lane as always, and in the S tier we have Aatrox, Darius, Fiora, Garen, Alawi, Kled, Malphite, Neferi, Olaf, Poppy, Quinn, Renekton and Rengar. Plenty of choice for you top lane mains to climb with this patch. Aatrox has been a bit too strong recently, so now he's getting a little nerf to his Q's damage. He's had one of the highest win rates in the game over recent weeks, so it's pretty expected to see him included. He is one of those champions you're going to end up banning every single lobby if you go against a good one, because it's genuinely terrifying how crazy a good Aatrox can be once they have a bit of a gold lead. Camille is getting some buffs this week though, to her AD per level and her passive. Camille has not exactly been weak recently, and in the right games and the right matchups she can be impossible to deal with. Thankfully, these buffs aren't really too groundbreaking though. So for the majority player based tier list that we have here, we're not going to move her up from A to S. But if you want to see her in the S tier alongside the rest of our high elo tier list, then click the link in the description and head to our website. Darius is not included in the patch notes this week, which just means he's still in a fantastic spot. He's been having a great year all season so far, and in Split 2 he's just as strong with no nerfs coming anytime soon. A fed Darius charging towards you with Flash and Ghost and his ultimate ready is a pretty scary sight. So if you enjoyed playing Darius and carrying on Darius, keep calm and carry on. Moving over to the jungle now, and in the ST we have Evelynn, Fiddlesticks, Ivern, Jarvan, Kayn, Kha'Zix, Kindred, Rek'Sai and Rengar. The meta has been like this for quite a while now, so I'm sure you guys all recognise those OP faces. One OP face that is getting quite a few nerfs though is Ivern, with nerfs to his base stats, his W, his E and his ultimate too. This champion has been extremely obnoxious over recent weeks, and full AP Daisy has been destroying people's mentals left, right and centre. Now because of how much Ivern has been dominating the jungle recently, we aren't actually going to move him out of the S tier this week. We really want to see how these changes feel when they go live. It is quite a few changes all at once, so it's pretty hard to tell how this is actually going to impact him. Hopefully this will at least hit the full AP build and encourage people to play him as a more utility enchanter again. Taliyah is getting some pretty juicy buffs to her Q and E this patch though, buffing the overall damage of her Q and the monster damage amplifier on her E. Now Taliyah is one of those champions you don't really see too often, but every time you do see a Taliyah one trick, they often just annihilate the entire lobby. And this is probably going to be happening far more often now. Taliyah has actually flown under the radar for a while. She's been a little bit underrated and her stats have actually been pretty impressive. And the buffs this week could send her over the edge, especially so at higher ranks. We've moved her into the A tier in the jungle this week and in the S tier in high elo, as we think these changes could really make Taliyah bounce back with a passion. One champion that did bounce back recently was Shyvana, and she's already been included in the patch notes. Riot are nerfing her AD per level and her HP per level too, which is not necessarily the biggest nerf in the world, but should make a bit of a difference. Shyvana clears the jungle super quickly, she tears through dragons, and she becomes really hard to deal with a ton of experience, a ton of gold, and a ton of damage too. She is and has always been a bit of a niche jungler, but if you do enjoy playing Shyvana, she's in a great spot right now. Okay, well let's take a look at the mid lane now. And in the S tier we have Ahri, Cassiopeia, Fizz, Neferi, Pantheon, Swain, Talon, Vladimir, Xerath and Zed. And we've also got Neeko in the god tier. Yasuo and Yone are both getting some minor buffs this patch, and Annie's getting some adjustments to her Tibbets. Neferi has definitely settled into the meta now after a somewhat random and fairly turbulent start. Some players thought she was absolutely broken and many others felt she was a bit lackluster. And I think a lot of this comes down to the rank you're in and the matchup you're in too. She's very similar to Talon in her playstyle, which is basically kill or be killed. And she's a bit of a stat check burst carry, bringing some insane burst if she lands both Qs. A fed Neferi is very difficult to beat though, as her damage can be crazy. And as she's winning a lot more games than people first thought, she's shot straight into the S tier. If you do want to see more about Neferi, then click the link in the description and check out her champion page, where you can find the best builds and runes that you need to pop off. Another assassin that's insanely strong right now is Zed, and he's definitely up there with some of the best picks to play in the mid lane. He's basically good at everything he's always been good at, outplaying enemies, offering crazy burst of mobility and being exceptionally hard to get hold of. And when the matchups and the meta and the items are in his favour like they are at the moment, it's pretty hard not to pick him every single time. Zed has always had a very high ban rate though, so good luck. Xerath is well and truly back and having tons of success in both the mid and the support roles. He can bully lanes easily, he can snipe across the map, and he offers crazy damage from insanely far away. Despite Xerath's newfound glory though, he still does have to be careful of those pesky assassins. But in the right matchups, there's honestly not too many better champions to play, so if skill shots are your jam, give this spicy Shuriman a go. Over to those AD carries now, and in the S tier we have Ashe, Draven, Ezreal, Kai'Sa, Karthus and Misfortune. Not really too much change here apart from a few tweaks to Kai'Sa and Caitlyn. So Kai'Sa did get nerfed this patch, and this is without a doubt the most expected change of all. She has been one of the most prioritized picks in the game in recent weeks, and she's just been so damn strong, whether that's AD, AP or something in between. This week she's getting her base HP reduced, her Q's AP ratio reduced, and also a nerf to her W's cooldown refund. Overall, this seems to be aimed at knocking AP Kai'Sa down a notch and forcing her to build the more traditional AD carry route. But as she's just been so strong recently, we aren't going to be moving her out of the S tier just yet, so she's definitely one to keep an eye on. Caitlyn has had a pretty underwhelming season so far, but has been gathering a bit more popularity recently. This patch, her passive and her ultimate crit chance ratios are going up, which is for sure a step in the right direction to probably bring her back again. Now we have bumped Caitlyn up to the A tier this week, and let's see how she fares when these changes go live. I know a lot of people have been having fun with the Duskblade one-shot builds, so maybe these buffs will encourage the more usual AD carry crit build to come back again. Ezreal is still one of the best AD carries in the game, and although he's not quite as menacing as the likes of Draven, his ability to carry is just as strong. He's got tons of damage, kite and mobility, and once he gets that 2 to 3 item power spike, he starts hitting like a truck from pretty far away too. If you are good enough to play Ezreal perfectly, there's very few better choices. Finally, let's have a look at those supports last, and in the S tier we have Blitzcrank, Janna, Nautilus, Rell, Soraka, Thresh, Xerath and Zyra, and Rakan remains in the God tier. Glacial Augment Slow has been nerfed this week, and Rell's changes didn't make it into the patch, so guess what, she's still OP. Nami is getting some buffs this week to her passive movement speed boost and her Q's damage. Now we kind of expected buffs to her W or E, which would make her instantly strong no matter what, instead of being reliant on hitting those Q's consistently to actually feel the difference. Nami hasn't really had the best season, and it's nice to see her in the patch notes, but unless you're a bubble demon, these changes might not make quite as much difference as you may have liked. Zyra has been loving life recently after the changes she received last patch. Whether it's in the arena or on the Rift, Zyra mains are having their fun in the spotlight. She offers fantastic poke in lane, great catch potential and amazing gank setup and disengage too. And if you enjoy the Poison Ivy playstyle, crack on, because despite it being strong, it's still not really that contested. Nautilus is still in the S tier and proving how dominant he can be when the meta suits him. He is almost definitely the most reliable, engaging support you can play, with a hitbox bigger than the sun and that point and click ultimate being able to shut down anyone no matter how much mobility they may have. He works into so many different drafts and alongside so many AD carry picks, so whatever lobby you're presented with, just pick Naught and carry anyway. That's going to bring us to the end of our patch 13-15 tier list video. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to check out Mobalytics before you go. Thanks everyone, and as always, take care.